Hello and welcome. Very simply, today I am going to go through a few things. And the number one thing is, how do we word this? You know what? You need to be doing this if you are having any kind of painful, reoccurring thoughts, images. In particular, images is what we're going to talk about today. Imagery over thoughts from the affair, from infidelity. So you need to be doing this if you want to stop replaying the painful, hurtful, intrusive memories from the infidelity. So I'm Beth Miller. I am the marriage coach and founder of the Marriage Saver program. And thank you so much for joining me today. I know you could be anywhere else on the internet right now. So I'm thankful that you're here to get the value from this. And that's what I promise to deliver. I promise by the end of this live that you will have the tools, you have some insight into how to stop replaying those images in your mind because they are so painful. And that's why I know you're here, because you're experiencing this, and it comes with the pain, the heartbreak, and also at times it can make you feel like you're going crazy. You can't get off that hamster wheel, which is then impacting your ability to be a mom, a grandparent, a worker, like to do your job, be able to focus when your mind is elsewhere so often, and you're trying to combat and reparent those images all the time, being like, stop. And sometimes we can do that. We can just say stop, but it keeps coming back, and there's a reason it keeps coming back. So today I want to help you overcome those painful, heartbreaking, at times crazy feeling images that keep coming through. So some of the common ones that I often hear my clients have, I'll talk about this in a second, but if you could, I want you to go below, type in the comments. Thanks for everyone that's watching. Type in the comments, what are the type of repetitive visuals that you are seeing? Is it more images of them together? Is it images of places they've been together? Or maybe you've actually seen images. If you've seen photographs that were found on his iPad, his phone, or maybe messages that they texted back and forth, and sometimes it's even sex that you've seen back and forth that you've seen them doing. So is it real images? Is it images that you've made up? Because sometimes we do that. We create this story, and that's perfectly normal. Our mind has these facts and it wants to fill in the blank, and it often does so with visuals. So if you can, comment below, what type of repetitive visuals are you seeing? The other thing too is we sometimes get images of just not necessarily them together, but of the text messages that we've read, or the DMs back and forth that they've read. So thank you everyone for sharing. So let me know, what type of images are you getting? Sometimes it's not even just images. Sometimes it's mini movies that we're getting. We just see things playing out. Our mind is so powerful at trying to fill in the gaps. So yeah, sex images are coming through, and it's horrible, right? This isn't right. It's not okay that you are experiencing this in your life right now. So my heart goes out to you. I'm telling you, things can get better. This is what I do. I am hypnosis trained, but also I have some energetics that I work with. Plus, so the neuroscience, and this beautiful combination of psychology, neuroscience is how I end these thoughts so they're not there anymore. And someone said the other day to me, do you make me forget this stuff? I was like, no, I don't have that power. I can't wave a magic wand and make you forget anything from your past. What I do is I help my clients, thank you. Yeah, the made up images of messaging, sexual contact, absolutely. So yeah, the images that your mind's filling in the gap because you know the text messages that were sent back and forth. Yeah, and someone here, thank you for sharing. You're actually seeing videos of them having sex, and you can't unsee it. And I've worked with this. I actually have a client who saw them having sex. She had a nanny cam set up in her bedroom, and she still sees them on, I think it was on the couch beside the bed, and then there's somehow they could see them going in the bathroom. She actually saw it too. So sometimes we're trying to undo fake images, but trying to fill in the gaps. And other times we're trying to actually undo real stuff. And then the text exchanges back and forth. So yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So there's reasons why it's here. And I want you to tell you, you're normal. This is normal. It's not okay. And we can get through this. I promise you that there's a solution. So, if you're catching the replay, or even now if you're watching the live, I want you to put your questions down below. If you have any questions specifically about how I can help your specific situation with the images that you're getting, put it in below, and I'm happy to have a little conversation back and forth, get you some solutions right away. Because the stuff I'm going to talk about is fairly generic, right? And everyone's unique, but at the same time, there's a parallel of images coming through, mini videos coming through, the text messages, them together, them at different events. So I keep looking at the side because I don't want to forget anything. So now I want to show you a few things. I have probably about 7 things I want to walk through with you today. And the first one, why are these images even here? Why are they there, right? And we know, depending if you're seeing a therapist, they'll say this is trauma, this is what happens, it's burned in your brain is actually taking an imprint of it. All memories are stored in our brain, all of them. But there's a reason why this one in particular is there. It's because it's unresolved. Your brain's often trying to make sense of it. Also, it's just so painful. There's emotions that are associated with it that keep making it pop up. So when confronted with infidelity, the mind often becomes stuck in this relentless cycle of intrusive thoughts. And the images are anything from mental snapshots, like I said, to these videos. It's very distressing, right? Super distressing to be flooded with these at all times, and to have this like cascade of negative thoughts bombarding you throughout the day. And it's a vicious cycle that's just digging, like putting salt into the wounds, right? So understanding the cycle is really crucial so that we can understand how to nip it, right? How to get rid of it. Because often it leaves us feeling so powerless over one's thoughts and one's emotions. Okay, so I want to help you understand the impact that this is having. And you already have a really strong idea how it's impacting your relationship, your ability to recover, your ability to be, like I said, a mom or to work. So the intensity of it also has that physical impact, right? The cortisol that's through your body, not able to sleep, so your melatonin's all mixed up. So there is a physiological component. A lot of you have lost tons of weight. I hate this, but it is probably the only benefit of infidelity. You can't eat, but at the same time, your body is in a survival mode, and that's why it shut off certain systems in your body, such as digestion, and that's why you're not eating, because your body is in survival mode with the cortisol that's pumping through it. So we already addressed the types of imagery that you're getting through. So the next one is really this cycle of the intrusive thoughts. So when it comes to this, number one, we're triggered, right? And we don't always have the awareness of the trigger. I call it the trigger train. You could be, I don't know, have to go and get groceries. And I think I've given this example in another live. You have to go get groceries, but on the way to get groceries at Publix, you have to drive past maybe a park that they're in, or a parking lot, or a restaurant, or maybe even her house. And so the trigger is simply like, you want to go to the grocery store, but then you're triggered into a certain memory. And from there, that's when the intrusive thought comes in. So the thought comes in, and the thought comes before the emotion. Always a thought precedes an emotion. And so the intrusive thought, once triggered, the mind is then flooded with these thoughts, and images then come through too. The thoughts that could be graphic mental images, they could be memories of the conversations they have, and it could be these hypothetical scenarios, because your mind is not okay. It's trying to make sense of things. So it creates these stories to try and put the pieces together, right? Because you're not getting the answers from him. And your mind's like, why is this happening? Why did it happen? Is it going to happen again? And so it really wants to put the pieces together. So that's why the hypothetical situations come through. We're trying to analyze it, because logically, if we know why it happened, we can stop it from happening again, or we can have the confidence that it'll never happen again. So then what happens is like that emotional response comes up. So we have the trigger, which then creates the thoughts, those mental images, which then creates those thoughts, which evoke that strong emotion of deep sadness, tears. You can be driving somewhere and you're totally happy, and then all of a sudden you're just blindsided by these emotions of anger, fear, just sometimes even shame. Like, how am I here? I can't tell anyone. Like, why am I settling? Am I weak? Am I a fool for staying? Sometimes those thoughts come through, even though you know, I need to keep working on my marriage. I don't want to throw my marriage away yet. If so, I would have regret. So that's often where my clients are. They're not ready to throw in the towel. They want to give it their best shot. And like I said, very distressing to have these emotions, distressing physiologically on your body and mentally. So then that's when the rumination really kicks in, right? The rumination. So you're unable to dismiss these intrusive thoughts. And individuals may ruminate because they're replaying the scenarios over and over, trying to analyze every detail, trying to make sense of it. And the rumination prolongs your ability to actually heal from this. And it actually reinforces the intensity. What happens is, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and out of those 60,000 thoughts a day, how many are we actually aware of? Not that many. A lot of them is even a hunger cue. I'm hungry, and so you can start to mindlessly start eating. You can like, oh, there's just so many, I don't even need to go there. So there's logical ones, there's physiological ones, but these are intrusive thoughts that are very much, out of those 60,000 a day, those ones are very much in the forefront. And so what happens is we have memories, and then from those memories we have these beliefs. The beliefs are, I can't trust him, or the beliefs are, they had a really good time together, he loved her more than me, she satisfied him more than me, he felt more connected to her. So we have these thoughts, which then create these emotions. And what happens is those emotions then create the behavior of tears or getting mad at him. And then what happens when we do that enough times, it gets reinforced as a loop. And sometimes we start doing it automatically. And what happens is we get those thoughts, and then automatically we go into those emotions, which then automatically go into shutdown or get angry. So it's really important that we have this awareness of this loop and we have to disrupt it. And the best spot to disrupt it is really, we can't change the memory. It's really at the belief of they had a better connection than me, or it's going to happen again. And when we can disrupt it there, then we won't have the same thoughts, which are intrusive. We won't have the same emotions, which then won't have the same behaviors. So we have to disrupt it, because the more we stay in that loop, the more, like in some women I work with, it's been 5 years and they still have these intrusive thoughts. And what they've done is they completely reinforce and they start to happen automatically, because 60,000 thoughts per day. And then that rumination can turn into a lot of different self-talk. Anyone that's chiming in, feel free to put any comments, questions below. Sorry, I'm just going to pop in. Also, what type of images are you seeing? If you're seeing images, any kind of negative images, intrusive images, painful images are you seeing? So throw that in the chat below. But what happens is when we have these ruminations, what happens is we get a lot of negative self-talk. So it can be negative self-talk about like blaming yourself sometimes, or just, it could also be sometimes conversations with your husband or the affair partner. Is anyone, like, hands up, give me a thumbs up if you've ever started to have conversations in your head about talking to the affair partner, wanting to get angry at them, or conversations with your husband in your head because you know what, they're not going well when you actually try to have them. So that can be happening sometimes too. And then we already talked about a lot of the physical symptoms. So that's really the cycle that we're dealing with here, and then the reinforcement of it all. So let's kind of go into more of the why do we replay. And the reason I'm going through all of this is so that we understand the background information. Because when we understand the background information, knowledge is power, and we can disrupt it faster because we have the awareness of where you are in that cycle. So what happens here when we're replaying this painful imagery, such as infidelity from a spouse, it's because of trauma processing. Yes, of course. Yeah, we do. Sorry, I saw a comment in there. We are talking to them in our head a lot. I know the conversations I have in my head, that's what makes you feel crazy, right? Because you're like having these inner dialogues of like what I would say and what they might say back. And it's wild, but that's totally normal. So trauma processing. So the mind often replays distressing events as a way of processing the trauma. But when we're stuck in this intrusive loop, it's still processing. And that's why we can have nightmares. When we're in REM sleep, that's rapid eye movement. That's like the last half of our sleep cycle. That's like the emotional processing, and that can lead to nightmares. But that's our mind trying to process the trauma. So infidelity can shatter one's sense of security and trust. And so that's why we keep revisiting it mentally, to try and get our safety back, try and build our trust back so that we can cope emotionally with the aftermath. So those intrusive thoughts keep looping. Sorry, I'm going to do this the whole session. I might just going like this round and round. But the trauma processing is what's really happening. That's why it keeps coming back. Cognitive dissonance can also be happening. So that's the disparity between reality of the infidelity and also these images in the relationship. So trying to kind of figure out what is real, what is not real. So replaying the imagery may be an attempt to try and reconcile these perceptions of what's real and what's not real, trying to understand what context it all occurred in. There's also this like kind of hyper arousal that can happen too. The discovery of the infidelity can trigger these heightened states of like emotional states, leading to the intrusive thoughts. So it makes it really difficult and challenging to get yourself back down to that normal state. Your new norm becomes this heightened state. Within this, of course, the imagery is coming through because of fear of reoccurrence is what's happening here. So there's so many reasons. Like, we're trying to process the trauma. That's one reason it's looping. This cognitive dissonance, trying to make sense of what's real, what's not real. This hyper arousal, like you're just used to being in that heightened state of like trying to find safety, trying to trust. Fear of reoccurrence keeps those loops going. Fearful that history is going to repeat itself, meaning you're going to get hurt again, which makes you rehearse the scenario over and over again so that you're prepared. And also replaying also gives you a sense of control, because it allows you sometimes to stay in that anger. It also allows you to be vigilant and stay on high alert. So that's another reason why we sometimes keep replaying the imagery. It can actually create this false sense of security and control over your situation when you keep replaying it. By mentally revisiting the betrayal, individuals feel like we have a better grasp on the circumstance because we can avoid similar pain because we're kind of already in it. So understanding this is also very powerful, because then you can pick out, okay, my intrusive thoughts, the cycle I'm in right now, where does it fit? Am I processing the trauma? Am I trying to figure out what's real, what's not real? Am I just used to being in a state, that hyper arousal? Is it because of fear of reoccurrence, or is it because I'm trying to control the situation? I'm trying to kind of stay in it so that I have a better grasp on the circumstances. So what are some strategies? Now here we go. Like, how are we going to do this? Now that you have a really good understanding, what we really need to know, like, the mental part is what's creating the physiological part. So we really have to figure out what are the mental strategies. Like before we can do any of this, we really have to get in a state of being grounded. Before, like I would never, if a client was with me and she was super upset, all over the place with thoughts, feeling very emotional, I wouldn't be able to get them really relaxed and go into our session to really work on not rewiring, but like undoing those thoughts so that they're at peace with it, because you're at a place of where you process the trauma. Like in the sessions when clients work with me, we process that trauma. We kind of figure out what's real, what's not real. And we get that hyper arousal, we get the emotions right down. We eliminate the fear of reoccurrence. We get to a place of peace and being present. And so that they have that sense of control from a more empowered place of being confident, feeling at peace about what's happened in the past. So we got to get grounded, because if you are in that place, you can't get those other techniques. So the grounding exercises, I know if you're seeing therapy, it's probably the same old, like, I want you to breathe, I want you to go for a walk, take a bath, but you got to find your grounding exercise. But that's not going to solve this. That is just step one, because we got to get your nervous system in a better place. And one of my favorite grounding activities is conscious stream of writing. Like, I love conscious stream of writing. It's one of my favorite because it's very, you're not like, dear diary. Anyway, thank you everyone who's coming in. Really quick, if you want to tell us what type of visuals you're getting, some people are getting text messages that they're seeing in their head, they're seeing them together. Sometimes it's kind of fake made up stuff because your mind's trying to put the pieces together, or sometimes it's even videos that are playing. So feel free to pop it in with what type of imagery you're getting. Also, if you have any specific questions, put them in below and I'll help you out with that. But yeah, we're trying to figure out right now, what are the strategies? We just went through the background information. And so when it comes to strategies, we have to get grounded. My favorite is conscious stream of writing, where I just take my pen, my eyes are closed. I like binaural beats. You can just Google it. YouTube will pop up tons of binaural beats, like binaural beats. And what it does is it plays, especially if you have headphones, it plays one frequency in one ear, one frequency in another ear. And then there's studies that say that it actually helps balance any kind of anxiety, because the two frequencies need to be balanced by your brain. So I like putting binaural beats on, close my eyes, and I just start writing. And it can be as simple like, stop messages or stop images, just stop. I hate you. I don't want you. Go away. I'm so angry. And it's like your arm's just going, just flooding everything that's in there out your arm and onto paper. And you just keep going. You might find that, thank you for sharing, photos in your mind. You might find that it just keeps going. It could be 5-10 minutes. Often you don't even really know how long it takes, but you'll get to a point where it's just like your body exhales. You're like, it's all out. It's not necessarily that you're happy, you're great, but you find that your body's just grounded again. And grounded just means you feel like you're not floating. You're not up in the clouds, or you're not just like feeling out of control, like you're a tornado. You're just like, okay, I feel like I'm just settled again in my body. Another way, of course, is the deep breathing. One of my favorite breathing techniques is, well, of course, in through your nose, out through your mouth, but I like alternated nostril breathing. So if you can't, like, it's like in through one and then you bleep out and then it's in through the other, trying to get that side. But if you can't do it, you just breathe. And of course it'd be longer. Like, you just feel it. You go in as long as you can. Slight hold and then out through your mouth. And that's one of my favorites. So it's like almost in for 8, quick pause, out for 8. But again, just a little bit of breathing, 60 seconds of that's all you need. Like if you're breathing in for 8, out for 8, that's already 16. If you did that 4 more times, that's also a really good way just to calm your body. Another way, gratitude. If you can get into that place of a bit of gratitude, just like, I'm thankful for the sun. I'm thankful for the sun. I'm thankful for my children. I'm thankful for the roof over my head. I'm thankful for my friends. That's another way just to kind of ground yourself, because it takes you into a different energy. So cognitive behavioral strategies. So this is, a lot of therapists use cognitive behavioral therapy. It's not my favorite. It's really good in the moment if you can't get somewhere to kind of do some of the deeper work that I'll talk about. Cognitive behavioral therapy is really like catching the thought and reframing it, or what some would say is reparent. So the thought is, he's doing it again. If that's the thought that keeps coming up, he's going to do it again. Or I think he's doing it again. He's on his phone. That's the thought that keeps coming through. Or the image that keeps coming through is, I know like some of my clients, like, and they know where their partners have had sex with the affair partner. And so they see the image, especially if it's on their property or somewhere that's like a mutual spot. So knowing where they've been together, they keep getting images of that place. So then reparenting that picture. It would simply be picture I see that you're in my mind right now, you can go, you're no longer part of my present. So that's the reparenting, reframing, where you talk to that picture rationally and let it know it can go. Again, not my favorite technique, but these are things that you can do in the moment just to get you grounded in the moment. So that reframing, the narrative that's going on in your mind, just like talking back to it, can really help with resilience. Visualization then at that point too is also helpful. Visualizing a different image. Oh, like this one, I do actually like this one, where you take the image, you turn it to black and white, you like gradually let it go and say, you can go, you can go, you can go. But again, that one's much better done in like a deeper relaxed state. But that's something you can also do with that visualization is, or just imagine like I put you in the fire, just burn it. Then I have sometimes people can't burn it. They're like, it just won't go in. It like goes to the fire and then it hops back in my brain. That's something to play around with. Sometimes you can imagine just ripping it up, throwing it in a fire. Sometimes you can imagine just kind of ripping it up and then like the wind blows it away. Get creative with this. Just play around with that strategy of taking the image and just ripping it up, burning it, disintegrating it, blowing it up, putting it in a container, throwing it away. Sometimes that can be really powerful too. But again, that's not like the be all end all. Because ultimately what we need to do is we have to really get to a place where we can process that trauma. So those are some of the easy, quick ones. In terms of when I work with my clients, what happens as an example, I'm trying to think here, trying to think of a good example. Would be, yeah. So I'll bring back that one example of seeing them have sex on her chair in her bedroom. What we did was, it's so tricky because it was like in her house. She ended up getting rid of the chair, which helped. But what we had to do with that situation is like in a really deep state, we had to see that was her husband from the past. That is not necessarily her husband now. That was in the past. And what we do is it's kind of an energetic thing. Like because I bet you could do this right now. If you could imagine a picture in front of you, there's attachments to that. Like there's like this emotional connection to it. Like you see the picture and it's like if there was a string attached to you, it's like pulling on you. Or it's, if you could see the image, it's like the negativity of the sadness of that. It's like, it's a garden hose and it's just flooding into you. So somatically starting to have an awareness of how that image is impacting your body. Where's that image living in your body? So that's one of the strategies too, is just having that awareness of where it is in your body. So seeing the image, where is it hurting? Is it your head, your throat, your stomach, heart, stomach? And what does it feel like is coming in? Is it just anger that's flooding in? And so when we start to have that awareness, then we can do a thing called like, we want to like cut it. We want to let it go. And this is what we call cord cutting. So this is often a boundaries thing. Setting boundaries with yourself, but also with your spouse too, so that we can control those thoughts, but really with yourself, because it has to start with you. We have to get rid of the emotions, the thoughts, the beliefs, so that we can show up differently in our marriage. So this sense of where's it coming into your body, letting it go, but asking it, do I want to let this image go? And that's so much of it. Like if I have a client, she's like, I don't know if I can let this go. It allows me to stay in anger. And we can't do anything about it because it's a protective agency, seeing this, this image. So where are you feeling in your body? Are you like, I'm ready to let you go image? I'm ready to let you go. But a lot of times what we need to do, even before we can pick apart every single image, because that's a ton of work to pick apart every single image, is we have to come to peace with the actual event that happened. So in the work I do is we have to decide, okay, am I ready to accept that this happened, accept that it happened, choose today to trust. I choose to trust today. I choose to learn to trust today. I choose to learn to not let this impact me anymore. Like we have to make that decision. So then what we can do is then put it in the past, and we can kind of put that in the past, acceptance that it happened. Doesn't mean we have to forget, but we're at a place where we can almost put in this time capsule. In the book of you, it's in the past and today's a new page. So there's almost this acceptance of that. That's another way to really end it, because that's in the past. A lot of times those images that we're having will then stay in the past as well. Or they'll start to, like, it doesn't happen instantly, but they'll start to go slowly. Sometimes it happens pretty fast, but for other women, it takes a little bit of time. Other things that'll help with those thoughts too is really with your partner when you start to rebuild the trust more. Because I was talking about that trauma processing, when we start to rebuild trust at better boundaries, we find the thoughts are less because our brain's on board. It's like, okay, I know what my reality is right now. That's the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance. I know what my reality is. So those thoughts come in, they can flutter, like they can fly off faster because like I'm confident in what my situation is now. So that's a part of it as well. I think what else I can give you here. So that's a big one. Somatically, where are you feeling? How it's attached to you? Are we able to put the actual event in the past and be able to stay in the present? Because when we're in the present, that really helps us as well. And then also building those boundaries and that trust with our partner, because then our mind's like, okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm not as scared that this is going to happen again. What else do I have in my notes here? Self-compassion is really important as well. Like, it's okay. This is part of my healing journey. I'm kind to myself. That's part of it as well. Often when we want to push those thoughts away, when we want to push them away, they keep coming back. So like, hi, I'm still here. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay. I'm scared. It's going to happen again. It doesn't make sense to me. So when we can accept those images too and be like, I understand why you're here. I understand why you're here, but I don't need you right now. And kind of talk to them. That's that reparenting. That's cognitive behavioral piece. But if you want to dig deeper into this, I'd send me a DM or put in the comments below the word thoughts, and I can give you some personal strategies. Like I said, I truly believe like the deepest way to do this is just to get at it, just to go back to the memory, try to reprogram the memory so that that memory isn't changed, but the emotions associated, that the infidelity, the multiple years of infidelity, betrayal, we leave them in the past so that we can stay today in the future. Stay today and look towards our future without those thoughts coming in and tackling them one by one. So thumbs up. I hope that everybody, if you can give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this live, if you found it helpful, I've given you a few tips, but again, I can go deeper into it with all of you. Send me, again, a comment below, thoughts, the word thoughts, or send me a DM if you want some more personal strategies, and I can get you connected with someone on my team and we can go through that with you. But my heart goes out to all of you. I know how painful this is, how it can make you go crazy, the heartache, the pain associated with these images. But I tell you, there's relief. You can get through this. It can happen. It can happen faster than you think when we can really get ourselves relaxed, go back to those memories, and really, really process that trauma in like what takes like an hour and a half. So anyway, thank you. Love you all. And I'm here for you anytime. Okay. Bye, everyone.